And she said, I just think about taking the club back here and then just swinging through. And I'm thinking, man, for somebody who's never seen any of Manuel de la Torre's videos, she sure did just spout off some Manuel de la Torre knowledge, right? Hey everybody, welcome back to Golf Test Dummy, the channel where I use my game to help your game. At least I hope that's the case. That has been my mission for over 2 years now on this channel, is to try and be your personal test dummy, your pincushion, your canary in the coal mine, your guinea pig, to try and test out a lot of different swings. There's conventional golf, and then there's what I usually refer to as unconventional golf. But there are a lot of fantastic coaches out there doing a lot of great things and coming up with some really cool concepts on different ways to swing the golf club and make impact, different setups and all that. It's been my mission to explore a lot of these different ways. Some of them I've recorded on video and I've got in-depth reviews that you can see on my channel, but others I've just tried on my own. They're not necessarily in-depth. I didn't necessarily record them or make a video out of them. I'm gonna set you here. I'm gonna get right into it. We're gonna hit some golf balls today. But last night, I brought my wife out here, and she really, I'll give you a little bit of background on her, but I was trying a few things with her to see if I had some proof of concept on sort of the distilled version of a golf swing that I've kind of gotten down to based off of all the stuff that I've learned over the past 2 years. And I brought her out here to try it out. Essentially, it's been sort of a process for me to try and simplify striking a golf ball as much as possible and getting it down to its most basest elements, and I'll explain that in a minute. Let me hit you a few shots from down the line here, and we'll see what we end up with. So that's a solidly struck golf shot. Hope you can see most of that in the video, but really there's not a lot to this. When you start to try and break the swing down, I guess you can make it really complicated if you're looking at each position, but for me, I'm trying to do the opposite because I tend to overthink and overcomplicate everything. And in golf, a lot of times that just does not work. A lot of times you just need it to be as simple and as straightforward as possible. I'm trying to apply what I'm talking about to myself. It's really hard to judge something like that. You know, when they say you can't see the forest for the trees because you're in it. You really don't have the perspective. So I brought my wife out here last night. So let me tell you a little bit about my wife. My wife has had clubs for quite a long time now. We've been together for over 20 years. And she has played golf quite a few times, but she's never been what you would call a regular player. She never went out and played every weekend. She never went out and spent, tons of hours on the practice tee. She never got lessons. She's never read Golf Magazine or watched a ton of videos on YouTube. And she really just does not care what anyone says a good grip is or what a good stance is or what you're supposed to be doing with the golf club. She doesn't even look into that stuff. All she says, her entire philosophy is just step up and hit the ball and try to hit it that way. And that is just such a simple concept. And I am so incredibly jealous of people who can think in that way because my brain will not allow that incredibly simple concept to even be considered. It's always got to be more complicated than that, right? I apologize for the lighting, but the sun is setting. I've just had a long day at work, so just bear with me. I know that this is probably not the best quality video, but the message here is unbelievable. I had to share this with you guys. But I brought her out here last night and I said, okay, warm up and just set up and hit a few golf balls. And her setup and the way she swings with an iron is something like this, okay? It's really basic. As I said, she doesn't try to get the proper grip or what somebody else has told her is the proper grip. She just sets the club down and then puts her hands on the club. Really, could it get any more simple than that? Really, you just set the club down as it's intended to be, and she just steps into it and puts her hands on it. Now, then when she sets up, her feet are about shoulder width apart. She puts the club down, and she just takes it away and then swings through. Now, her finish with an iron does not wrap all the way around to where she's totally on her front foot, as you would see a lot of people do, because with an iron, she really does not have confidence. She hits drivers off of the tee, and she hits those really well, and that's her favorite club. But when it comes to striking an iron off of the turf, she really just, she doesn't look forward to that at all. But she sets up to it and she'll make a swing. Just something like that. Okay? Really basic. So she sets up and she hits a couple of those. After she's warmed up, I said, okay, now let me ask you a question. When you are set up and you're ready to hit the golf ball, what are you thinking about? Are you thinking about your body? Are you thinking about parts of your body? Are you thinking about how your body moves? Are you thinking about the golf club and how it moves? Are you thinking about the golf ball? Are you thinking about the target? What is in your mind? And right away, she comes back with what I have discovered to be the best answer for me, not necessarily for all of you out there, but external focus, external thinking. Something outside of your body is what your brain should be focusing its intentions upon. And she said, I just think about taking the club back here and then just swinging through. And I'm thinking, man, for somebody who's never seen any of Manuel de la Torre's videos, she sure did just spout off some Manuel de la Torre knowledge, right? And I said, that's fantastic. That's fantastic. You've got external focus. You're not thinking about where your body is and how you should be moving it. You're just thinking about what you want to do with the club, and then you make that happen. So she made a few more swings. Now, I noticed that she was hitting behind the ball, she was hitting at the ball, she was fattening them, she was chunking them, she was topping it, she was thinning it, and her contact was sometimes sending it right and sometimes sending it left. So I said, what we really need for you is low point control. And she said, what do you mean? And I said, well, if you're swinging that club around in space, there is a point at which the bottom of the club reaches the bottom of its swing arc, or the circle or oval or whatever shape you're making. There is a point at which it reaches the bottom and then it starts to come back up on the other side. And I said, with an iron or even a wood, even if you're hitting driver off the deck, your low point, as long as it's on the ground, if the ball is on the ground, your low point must be after the ball. And she said, what do you mean after the ball? And I said, on the target side of the ball, not the backswing side of the ball. And she said, really? You mean I'm supposed to hit the ball first and then the club hits the ground? And I said, absolutely. And she said, oh, I didn't know that. So the first couple of swings were a little bit not perfect, but without giving her any instruction as to what she should be doing with her grip or the club, I just told her what to do to make the low point occur in front of the golf ball. After a few swings, she started to say, okay, I need to make sure that I swing down and through this golf ball. And then she would start to make the low point after the ball. Now, it wasn't perfect in the beginning, but it moved that low point. She understood that that needed to occur after the golf ball. After that, we set the golf ball back down, just like that, and I took a little piece of grass off of this mat and put it about 2 inches in front of the golf ball. And she said, what's that? I said, when you swing, try and sweep that piece of grass off of this turf. Forget the ball. And she said, okay, I'll try that. The first couple of swings, again, it took her a little bit of time to figure out what she was doing, but pretty soon she learned that with the friction between this mat and that piece of grass almost acting like Velcro, that the only way she could get that piece of grass to come off the turf and go toward the target was to have her hands leading and to almost scrape the bottom of the club along the ground in front of the golf ball. So she started to get something that looked like this. Now, at this point, she realized that the contact was completely different. And she was like, wow, that's totally different. I've never felt that before with an iron. I never hit my irons good. And I said, okay, the only other thing I see is that you're a little bit timid. And rightfully so, because she doesn't have confidence in the irons. I said, it looks like when you swing a driver, you really try and give it a wallop. But when you swing an iron, you're almost trying to slow it down and control it and put it. You're scared to swing it. I said, so now let's add some speed. Give me one that's just a little bit quicker than the last one you hit. And so she would step up, and she would take the club away and swing a little bit quicker, and it would eventually lead her to more of a finish on that front foot, as you see in all the books and all the magazines, naturally. Now here's the kicker. I never told her how to add speed. Never told her. I just told her to add speed. How she did that, if she did it by moving her hands faster, if she did that by turning through it more, if she did that with leg drive, it's irrelevant. That was totally up to her and her individuality, but she added speed and she started to gain confidence. And as she got confidence, it started to get faster. And you can hear that whoosh. We can all hear that whoosh when we swing the club. And in order to make it faster, we know that that whoosh needs to sound louder and faster. How we do that may be turning your hips faster. It might be moving your hands faster. It's probably different for everybody, but she figured out how to put on speed with no technical advice, nothing. And now she's starting to learn how to make so much better contact with her irons. And it was a proof of concept for me, because I'm trying to take all of these things that I've learned over the course of the last 2+ years and just whittle it all down to where it's the most simple, basic thing that I can think of. I hope you guys enjoy this video. I've got more to come. Stay tuned. If you overcomplicate things just like I do, hopefully this is going to help save us both a little bit of heartbreak and get the train moving forward again. See you in the next video.